Thank you very much. You know that being the last one is always a challenge. So I will try not to actually to repeat what my colleagues here on the podium have been saying, because it's something that we really have been discussing all the time. I wish to really provoke you and get back to the basics, because these kind of meetings are very usual. We have been taking those for so long, but the results are very poor. I have a discussion with my friend, and I've been told her that we need really to get back to the basics and see what is not working. Why is not industrialization coming to our continent? Why is it we are not really progressing on the pathway of development? So this leveraging innovation for African industrial transformation is building resilience and globalized economy is actually undeniable timely. The theme is not limited to an academic exercise. It addressed the most pressing challenges and the most promising opportunities facing our continent. The transition to Industry 4.0, the need to build robust production chains in the face of the global shocks, and the imperative to adopt sustainable production systems are central elements to this debate. By focusing on innovation, we examine the main catalysts that will allow Africa to not only react to these trends, but also actively shape its own economic future. Our central message is clear and urgent. Innovation is not a luxury, but it's also not a solution for all of our problems. On the contrary, sometimes innovation, technology is creating more problems because, as you well know, advances on science, advances on robotics, advances on automation, on industry is not providing too much jobs. And we need jobs for our youth, for our population. So through innovation, our continent will overcome obstacles, of course, improve productivity and competitiveness, and build the resilience needed to strive in a globalized and often uncertain economy. Of course, economic data corroborates our optimism. The African Development Bank projects robust economic growth of 4.3 for Africa in 2025. This dynamism is driven by an unprecedented demographic dividend. Everybody is talking about that, with a rapidly growing young population and the rise of the middle class. These scenarios create a powerful and intrinsic growth engine, fueling vibrant regional markets that are less susceptible to external shocks. The African Continental Free Trade Zone is our major strategic bet. It is not just a trade agreement, it is a large-scale economic diversification, trade and industrialization policy that aims to create the world's largest unified market, serving 1.4 billion people across Africa. It promotes regional value chains, acting as a strategic response to the challenges of the continent's economic and social development, and serves as a tool to protect against growing global protectionism. Endogenous innovation is allowing Africa to leapfrog development stages. Everyone knows that, and we understand that it's only through technology that we can reach and close the gaps between Africa and the rest of the world. In the fintech sector, for example, with platforms like Tupuka in Angola, M-Pesa, Juma, and Flutterwave, which are revolutionizing logistics, services, and financial inclusion, overcoming the deficiencies of traditional banking infrastructure. Similarly, innovation is being applied in agriculture, agri-tech, artificial intelligence, and circular economy, where the local solutions transform environmental challenges into economic opportunities and decent employment and enable significant increases on productivity. So our collaboration with international partners, such as Japan, is also evolving. The traditional model of aid is giving way to a co-creation partnership based on investment and trade. Japan, through financial initiatives like green projects, positions itself as a facilitator of indigenous growth and African autonomy, rather than a partner that simply defines the development agenda. We need to continue to strengthen this relationship, increasingly basing it on the cooperation and sharing of entrepreneurs, investors, living states with the responsibility to ensure the infrastructure and business environment that promote private initiative, taking full advantage of our host's already proven technological capacity. In this sense, it's worth to remember, and here comes my provocation for this audience, that the path to industrialization is not without challenges. The infrastructure financing gap, with an annual deficit of about $100 billion, remains one obstacle. I would like to emphasize here that what is lacking is not financial resources. I repeat, what is lacking is not financial resources, but the mechanisms and instruments that allow these resources to be transferred at appropriate prices to African projects and business, enable the generation of jobs and income. In addition, the threat of a more protectionist global trade environment, such as the expiration of U.S.-African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, requires an integrated trade strategy. The world is rapidly evolving towards a scenario where preferential treatment and correction of historical inequalities are giving way to protection models, leaving the responsibility for development of our countries more and more in our hands. So, where is it that the money is? I would say, just like a little math, using 5.2% of the expenses in defense of the biggest 10 arms producers in the world, countries that arms producers in the world, we could finance $100 billion for the African continent. 5.2%. So there is money, the money is there, but it's not using in the very correct way. It's just fooling the threat of war, the threat of instability, but not fooling what should be doing, which is improving lives in African continent and the other parts of the world. So it's also the gap for Industry 4.0 that projection 230 million jobs will require digital skills by 2030 is also a critical challenge that we must face. We need to invest in our people, we need to invest in education, general education, and digital education as well. So I would like to also say that to overcome these challenges and consolidate our resilience, we need to propose 3 areas, I would add another one, of strategic action for all TCAD partners. Strengthen local innovation ecosystems. Right. We must invest in ecosystems that promote indigenous innovation, supporting startups and entrepreneurs who develop solutions adapted to the continent's unique challenges. We need to have our own path to digitalization world. Finance high-quality infrastructure. It is imperative that we bridge the infrastructure financing gap. I already said where we can get the money from, with a focus on renewable energy, technology, transportation projects that reduce bureaucracy and investment risks. promote inclusion through capacity building. Our human capital development efforts must explicitly target the inclusion of women and youth, providing the digital and technical skills necessary for a future workforce. And this fourth one is from my own: improve the business environment. As a way to reduce risk and mostly the perception of risk, because Africa is most perceived as a risk environment rather than really risk environment. Engage more and more in the national and international investors in order to create the trust and the comfort for them to invest in our continent. In short, TICAD 9 and this thematic even offer a unique platform today to turn the debate into action. Africa's industrial future is not a distant destination, but a journey that has already begun, driven by innovation, talent, and shared vision. But still, we are far away from our objectives. I think that working together, African countries, our partners, I have to especially mention Japan, and also UNIDO, we can achieve what is intended for our development. It's through this collaboration that we'll build a more resilient, prosperous, and equitable industrial future for all of us. Thank you very much. And if you allow me, I want also to leave you with another food for thought, another provocation. It is time to bring UNIDO to African continent. Why it is we are discussing industrialization in Africa in Vienna? It should be in an African country. It should be in Africa, to be near where the problems are, near where the people are. And by the way, Angola is ready to receive UNIDO headquarters. Thank you very much.